Morning, all, and I, Piyush Bhamare, along with BFSI Tech Growth Circle, welcome you today in today's Only BFSI episode with my friend Chetan Shah, who is EVP at India's one of largest bank, and he has a career spread across 25 years, uh, managing cash and capital market operations, and currently he's heading the automation part. So today we will have an insightful conversation with Chetan. So welcome Chetan, and thank you very much for honoring uh, today's conversation. Really excited this morning to talk to you on this very insightful topic, automation, and especially your insights around it.
Thanks, Piyush. Sort of honored to be over here with your tagline of BFSI. I couldn't say no, right? And with you indicating that please Aja. And obviously, with 25 years in BFSI, that is my bread and butter. So how could I say no? Thank you.
Thank you. So my first question is just understanding your journey. How did you get into automation and what led you to establish this automation center of excellence?
Yeah, so I think automation, frankly speaking, for all of us, at least in my age bracket,
Mm-hmm.
it's completely new, right? From a background perspective, I'm basically a chartered accountant. And over a period of time, I worked with Citibank for about 18 years and then last 6, 7 years with IndusInd Bank. So technology has always, in a way, fascinated me. I sort of had my or built my career around techno-functional roles. Though I was a part of always operations, but any projects, any system changes, any things that you're required to depend on to ensure that you improve the productivity was always somehow at the back of my mind. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why, because of the various readings that I do or whatever it is. Some of the books that influence me were from Jeff Welch, right? Jeff basically straight from the gut, and then
Mm-hmm.
few other books on those lines, where the
Mm-hmm.
focus had always been on improving the productivity. And somehow my inclination, obviously, when I started managing the teams and stuff like that, it was always to understand as to why some people would do better compared to others, right? That is also where the bell cow kicks in, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how can you level play? I mean, make everyone sort of be on the same field, so you get the same productivity from everyone. And one of the things that I saw was that always that if you enable the technology to do things for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
you sort of take out the human equation or the human intelligence equation from that. So that is really what I think my bent of mind had always been
Mm-hmm.
since last many years. And I've driven large scale projects even before I jumped into automation, where we transitioned huge, I would say, on the city side, right? I'm taking the name over so it becomes easier. But on
Mm-hmm.
the bank side, where I transition almost, 5 billion, 6 billion worth of clients from one platform to another. Uh,
Wow.
and that really instilled in me the really as to you need to ensure that technology is state of art to make things.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously over a period of time, I think AI, Gen AI, Copilot, Chat GPT started kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
So I started dabbling with that on my personal front, honestly speaking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was something that I said, what I can do differently for myself, right?
Wow.
And that point of time, I think RPA was the buzzword.
Mm-hmm.
I started dabbling in the RPA. I sort of did a lot of reading, did a lot of writing on LinkedIn and stuff like that around RPA.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there was an opportunity with the current bank where I sort of jumped into that role from Citi to lead their RPA automation initiative. And that's how I think the journey started. And frankly speaking, it has been an eye opener for me. It has been a good journey. But I think the whole idea for me, and I always tell my teams, right, that for me, the important thing is that I want you to go home at after 9 to 10 hours of work. So that's how I try to bring in automation initiatives, RPAs, Gen AI, whatever you call it, to ensure that you maintain a good work-life balance. And sort of technology is sort of very important for that. Without that, you won't be able to do it. So that's really how I
I
play the game.
I'm really inspired, the way you narrated this, especially, the bell curve where you want to, bring all the employees at the same level and you want to increase the technology side so that there is a work-life balance. But let's just, for someone like me who is new to banking automation, what exactly does an automation COE do and why it is so important in today's world?
Yeah. So honestly, I think like an operational COE, right, is
Mhm.
basically a center of excellence.
Correct.
So for me, frankly speaking, it's a buzzword, right?
Mhm.
Tomorrow the COE may become something else. But at the end of the day, the whole idea, whenever you do an operations COE, what is the focus? The focus that you standardize it, right?
Mhm.
You make sure that you bring in the right structure and the right processes so
Mhm.
that it is not person dependent. So
Okay.
tomorrow, when someone else comes in, he doesn't have to
Mhm.
start from scratch, learn from scratch. You have
Mhm.
your set structure, you have your set processes, and the
Mhm.
person comes in, starts using that set of processes and steps, and is able to come up the curve. So from my
Okay.
perspective, the automation CEO is on similar lines. Now, obviously, we are, frankly speaking, on automation, everyone is evolving, right? Today, you're thinking about ChatGPT, and tomorrow, suddenly, sort of the deep six and other Kim George and whatnot comes in,
Yes.
and we are all taken for a ride. So I think COE is evolving, but for me, the COE is to bring in a structure in place.
Mhm.
So any initiative that I take on the automation side, whether it is on my unit A or unit B, at least the formation and the structure as to how you need to proceed, what is the documentation that is required, what are the steps that you need to take, what is the kind of testing that you do, that guideline is fixed, right? If within
Mm.
that guidelines and within that structure and steps and SOP, you may bring in a project which will deliver 10 FTE saves or which may deliver 100 FTE saves, right? Or may
Okay.
not deliver saves, but bring in controls in place, right? But so the output may be different, but the structure and the process in terms of how you want to achieve that is consistent. So that people don't have to use their brain and mind to look at the peripheral items, but really focus on the core activity of development, of testing, of deploying, rather than looking at things around that to make it happen. So at this point of time, from my perspective, the CEO is really talking is really on those lines, and obviously some around some guidelines from a, more so from a bank perspective because of the various regulations around
Correct.
what kind of LLM that you use, how you can pass the data from a privacy perspective. So those are the guidelines that are there at this point of time from a COA perspective.
I just, one question which is, always bothers me. You run this COE. Now, how are you set the goals, your annual goals or KPIs and KRS? Typically, what are your KPIs and KRS?
Very difficult question. Because honestly speaking, there are no KPIs at this point of time. But what I tell the team and for myself is really the X number of hours that I want you to save, basis whatever you do, right?
Okay.
And for me, it is very clear. I mean, today, honestly speaking, with the kind of regulations that we have and the kind of structures that we have across the banking industry, across wherever it is, people put in humongous amount of hours, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
then I
True.
tell them that there are two things that you need to do. Make sure your team goes home on time, right? And you save me so many hours. That is the KRI that I give to the team. Now, how they
Perfect.
deliver, what they deliver, obviously within the guardrails of the structure and the COEs and the rules that we have defined, that's left up to them.
I understand. So, if you look at the last 10 years, I mean, from your experience, which banking function has benefited the most from the automation, let's say RPA and GenAI now?
Hmm. So I mean, last 10 years, I've always been in the operations world. So
Mm.
from my perspective, the Gen AI or the automation, I mean, we are still, I would say, how do I put it? Uh, Still just beginning, right?
Okay.
Few of the functions that I know have benefited are more so, I would say the low skill or the first level of functions like answering simple queries, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
uh,
Support side?
Support side and support or call center, you can call them, right, from a client perspective, right?
Yes.
because a lot of you would have seen a lot of bots have come up, right? So you question them, they'll give you a basic answer, right?
Yes.
So those
Yes.
are the kind of queries that I see, or those are the kind of functions that have benefited. But I don't think we have gone deep into what the world keeps on saying in terms of completely automating the world, and we'll no longer be required to do a job, right? Money will no longer be in play. I don't think we have reached that. I think that's for me. Obviously, the big bosses say something completely as right. Elon and everyone has a different thought process and a different ball game. But from my perspective, where I stand today, that's another 10, 15 years away. But now we are moving into the world where we are talking about and trying to implement Gen AIs and the agentic AIs of the world.
Hmm.
But it is very nascent. Nascent from a perspective that one, the rules and regulations in India are very stringent.
Yes.
Two, the data privacy takes away the benefit that you can achieve if you don't have that rules and regulation. But obviously,
Oh.
then there's major risk associated to it. So I wouldn't say you have to take it away. You need that. You need those guardrails. And then I think at the same time, if you look at it from a cost perspective, if you look at a bot which is deployed in the US versus a bot which can get deployed in India, the cost benefits are very different because
Yes.
in India, you are still able to get resources at much
Yes.
lesser a cost compared to US or even Japan. So those are the kind of things which are in play at this point in time. So whenever you try to do a cost benefit analysis, is really not favoring the Indian industry. But yeah, but still, because of the fact that you have to be there, people have started off doing things. We are 100% seeing benefits of that in terms of the time to market, in terms of the turnaround time. That's 100% there. But to what extent you can use it and where, that's still a question that is being debated across various industries and various firms. And that's really where we are.
Okay. So tell me, how do you identify the next opportunity for automation, and who drives it? Is it comes through the business teams or the customer feedback, or then obviously you have the company level goals? How
No,
is it's
I
given?
think, yeah, no, it's a good question. So basically, I would say it's a combination of three, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
sometimes, obviously, we as operation team realize that these are mundane activities. There's too much same thing that we are doing. So why
Uh-huh.
can't we automate it, right? And
Uh,
basically release the bandwidth of the team to do some various other things. So that's one way to look at it. Then from a client experience perspective, we look at it from a perspective that today, if I want to give a statement to the client, it is take out a balance confirmation with the client that is giving me 3 hours to extract the information. But I
uh-huh.
know that it's a very rudimentary and a very straightforward process. So can I do
Uh,
something on my chatbot? Can I do something on my email reading capability and get it automated, right? So it's driven basically, I would say, basis the factor of the volumes that are there on that specific scenario and how much time that it would take if I automate it, and whether it will move the needle from a client experience perspective. And finally, whether it releases the bandwidth. So I think those are the two or three factors that we look at to identify areas that we can focus on for automation.
and what's typical automation journey look like inside a bank from identifying a problem to successfully deploying a solution?
Just give me one. Sorry.
Yeah.
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 So when you say journey, I mean it's a long journey. I mean, a lot of people say that you'll be able to write a code through various white coding and stuff like that in a span of 2 days, 3 days. Well, that's just one bit of it. Then you have various processes in play where you need to ensure one that it is within the framework that the rules and regulations from an RBI perspective are met, both from a onshore, offshore perspective, because a lot of data you cannot send it outside India, right? That is one. Two,
Correct.
the data privacy kicks in terms of ensuring, because at the bank, most of the data is client data, right?
Yes.
So can you
Yes.
send it to my Gen AI to read and not, or not to read? If they say no, then I need to mask it, right? So
Correct.
from a
Correct.
process perspective, also the first step is really to identify the process. Basically, whatever you can call it, business case or whatever, present it to the committee which is sort of approves this kind of projects. If they approve, it goes to the next step of getting compliance. Okay, CISO, okay, DPDP, okay, all those kind of okays. Once it is approved, then you go to the vendor or in-house technology to say, boss, now this is okay. How much time you will take it to deliver, right?
Oh,
And obviously, before that, obviously the ROI kicks in, right? That even if you deliver, right, what are you going to do? Whether it is a control function that you will help, whether it is a client experience, that experience. So obviously, there has to be an ROI attached to that, right?
yes.
If you don't have an ROI, it will not fly the first step itself,
But
right?
Chetan, just one question here.
Hmm.
So when it comes to ROI, it is always quantifiable, or how is it? I mean, you mentioned
Unfortunately
couple
not.
of
Right? Yeah, unfortunately not. It's not always quantifiable. So then obviously we have to bring in a picture of a future element, right?
okay,
In terms of a future increase in volumes or a 24/7 ability to serve the client. So then the
okay.
subjectivity kicks in, but only subjectivity will not help, right?
Thanks.
That- yeah, if I say nahi mere ko karna hai because maybe 10 years down the line it will be helpful, that will not work. There has
Oh,
to be some part of ROI that has to kick in.
okay, and that some part of ROI is quantifiable, right? As you said,
Absolutely.
maybe you are reducing the number of hours, or you are giving some
100%.
delightful experience to your
100%.
end
100%.
user.
So even if I give you a simple journey of, let's say, marketing flyers, okay, that
Mm.
now we can use Copilot and various other forums to create it on the fly. But
Uh-huh.
why would you create it, right? Only if my the so today what happens is that today I would say from a whole marketing initiative perspective, right? If I
Uh-huh.
target, let's say I want to target 100 clients, right?
Correct.
If I'm able to customize those 100 flyers to those 100 clients, right? And if I'm able to see an uptick in the conversion rate, right?
Mm.
Maybe till yesterday, if I was sending generic 100 flyers, my conversion rate was 10. That is an example.
Correct. Correct.
With this, if the 10 becomes 12, 13, 14,
Yes.
right? Then I
Yes.
would initiate it, right? Otherwise, what is the
Oh,
use, right? So even a
understood.
3 or 4% increment, right, against whatever cost that I'm deploying, right, has to be carved out. I mean, maybe it doesn't cover the cost completely, but at least there is an increase,
It's a
right?
very good example, actually,
That's
Chetan.
really what it is. That is how
Yeah.
really we look at it from a perspective of how the ROI needs to be defined.
Thank you for sharing this example. It's very easy to understand. So, but I have seen and I have heard from my friends that many automation projects starts in excitement, but don't achieve the expected outcomes. And from your experience, what do you see the major reasons?
So I'll tell you honestly, at least the projects that I have picked up, most of them have achieved the outcomes. And I'll tell you the the reason is being stringent at a point in time when you initiate it, right?
Oh, okay.
So let's not, I mean, there's so much hype in AI, right? And the world will say that I'll change the world, right? Any vendor that you talk to, they know everything in AI, right?
Yes, and
They,
they are
they,
different. And they are
they,
different.
and everyone is different, right? But everyone knows how to work on chat gpt, everyone knows how to work on copilot, but everyone falters when the integration comes into play, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
that is the biggest bone of contention at this point in time, that a standalone AI or a standalone LLM can function, but as soon as you start talking about integrating that with your core systems, right, that is
Mm.
where things start faltering. That is where you see that the assumed change of the world of today, if that team had 50 FT and the vendor would have said, "मैं पूरा 50 FT निकाल दूंगा," that suddenly goes down to 5 FT, right? So I think it is very important to be realistic. It is very important to set expectations right. It is important to, I would always say, right? I mean, if you spend 70% of your time in planning, your 30% of your execution will be easy. But if you try to do 30% planning and then try to work around everything in execution, it will fail. So at least on my side, I'm very stringent in terms of what projects I move forward with, right? Only if I'm comfortable and confident that this will have an end-to-end replication without any assumptions. That is very important. We cannot make assumptions in this world, right? If you
Absolutely.
assume If you assume कि about future में देख लेंगे, वो कभी नहीं होएगा, right? So I think that is one thing that I've seen, that most of the projects that I've seen failed is because of unrealistic expectations, not
Mhm.
setting the expectation right, not looking at it from an end-to-end perspective, and only looking at it only from an AI perspective, right? But AI
Fair.
has to talk to someone. So that end-to-end understanding is very important. And that is what I think most of the people falter on.
My next question. So, what has been your biggest learning so far leading an automation COE that you wish you had known it the day one?
I think the biggest learning is that I would have that it would take time, right? There are two things that I think I have really learned. Is one is that yeah, it would take time. Yeah, it's not simple, right? It is as good as any other software implementation or any other things that you do to implement or start or close a project. So AI itself may help you in deliver things quicker, but at the end of it, AI journey itself is going to take long, right? Because you have to follow the similar steps, similar kind
True.
of activities. So that is one thing, right? I have surely made some commitments in the past which I should have not in terms of the timeline, though we were able to deliver it, but obviously beyond the timeline. So that is one. Secondly, it is very important to ensure that the top management understands that, right? Understands what AI is capable of doing. The narratives are all over the world. The
Yes.
narratives would say, "Boss, chat GPT डालो, आपका life
Change हो जाएगा.
उधर जाएगा," right? You will go home in 2 hours, right? But so that is, it is very important that you sort of, go through those narratives, right? And make sure the top management and the senior management and the stakeholders understand that this is not the narrative that we can apply, right? I mean, a person who, I mean, a student doing his homework can apply that narrative, right? Using
I understand.
ChatGPT, 8 घंटे में खत्म कर देगा पूरा दिन का homework, right? And 15 minutes. That's not what the banks or any other industry can do, right? So
But
it is very important to clear out those narrative and explain to the top management that this is how AI functions. Because let me be very honest, right? The top management, because of where they stand, what they have gone through, for them, for me today, Instagram is a. I mean, my son lives on Instagram, right? I don't, right? Similarly, the top
same
management
here.
doesn't live in AI, so it is very important to make them understand what it is all about.
But this is a brilliant uh, insight that you offered. I mean, top management versus GenAI. But still, I want to ask you one question. So, uh, for last couple of years, it's AI everywhere. And so, how your relationship typically has evolved? Because business team always are very aggressive. They want to implement the new trends in the market, and then here's a technical technology team, operations team like yours, who know some reality and they also understand the constraints where we have set up the complete tech stack. How it is evolving and how you are managing this inside.
Very simple. You can't argue with the business team. Okay. So we do POCs. Very simple, right? And this is one of the learning, right? That in the beginning I tried to explain them, tried to convince them by nahi hoega, whatever you do, it will cost so much and all this kind of thing. But they say, yaar, nahi yaar, all other banks are doing it. So, "ठीक है, चलो करते हैं,"
Uh,
right? And that is a simple thing that they say, all other banks are doing it, right? So I think from my perspective, as I said, I'm very stringent in terms of what I move forward with. So any activity we do, we first do a POC, right? And that POC takes, I would say, from 3 to 4 weeks, right? You showcase that to the business, showcase that to the stakeholders, and they realize that whether it is worth it or not worth it. So that's the way to solve it. Explanation doesn't help. I always tell my team that if you come to me without data, don't come to me. Similarly,
mm,
from business perspective, that is my thought process. That was show them what you think, what they are telling you to do, how good or how bad that would come out to be. Then if they say karo fir bhi, right, fine, we'll go ahead and do it, right? But explanation to some extent is not going to help in this world.
Great. So tell me now, whatever the current state, where do you see the Gen AI creating the biggest impact in banking over the next 3 to 5 years?
Personally and honestly, I think it's going to change the world. right?
Okay.
I
Okay.
personally see, and I'll tell you why I'm very specific on this. Is I manage operations on the trade side, right, which is basically very document intensive, and obviously it looks at FX and all those kind of stuff. Till date, whatever OCR solutions that we have tried to use, right,
Hmm.
all have failed, and they would give me a benefit of 30-40% extraction, so it doesn't really work out. Okay,
Hmm.
but with LLMs and GenAI coming in, that
Hmm.
30-40 with the same kind of technology has
Hmm.
jumped to literally 60-70,
Double.
right?
Yeah.
So I personally and honestly feel that a lot of things are going to change in next 2 to 3 years.
Hmm.
More so, people will uh, will I mean, if you start looking at the new generation which is coming in, right?
Hmm.
They are sort of digitally native. You can't tell them, boss, ये document read करो, इधर से उठा के इधर type करो. That is not
Correct.
going to work out. And
Yeah.
that is where I think Gen AI, LLMs are going to help, where they will be able to read the documents, extract the data, and input the data. So my assumption and my gut feeling is, and that is what in fact I'm working on. In next 2 years, in the banking world, there is always a maker checker function, right? The maker is the
Yes.
person who sort of inputs data, and the checker is someone who analyzes and checks the data, both from a
Correct.
documentation perspective and input. My gut feeling is, and I am to a lot of extent, I'm seeing those proofs, is that the maker function will get eliminated completely to the extent of about 60 to 70%. So today, if my team has, let's say, 10 makers, tomorrow, with the use of Gen AI, LLMs, and various other technologies, I'll need about four people, 3 to 4 people to do the same work, right? That's, I think, the first step, according to me, on the processing side. The second big item that I see which will get impacted are the call centers,
Call centers.
right? Now, at least the Gen AIs and LLMs have a capability to understand the sentiments of the caller, to understand what they are speaking in the natural language. They don't
Hmm.
necessarily need the पहले क्या होता था, you only needed specific prompts. Only then they would answer you. I think that
Correct.
that has changed now, right? I mean,
They are
you can
changing.
ask them in a
Yes.
free format and they will answer you, right?
Yes.
So now that is getting converted to voice also, right?
Hmm.
So I
Yes.
would talk and they would answer, right? Some of the industries are already doing that. So I think that's another big factor which I think would change, where the call center is going to would get, I wouldn't say eliminated, but impacted to a great extent, where the basic questions would be answered and solved by your Gen AIs from a voice perspective, right? And obviously, anything that they are not able to do will sort of be handed over to a physical person to get that done. So I think in the next 2 to 3 years, I think those are the two biggest components which would drive or which would get impacted. And then, honestly, I mean, every 6 months you are seeing some new things coming up. So very difficult to gauge what's going to happen in next 5 years. But I
Uh,
think next 2 3 years, I'm sure this are the two areas which will get impacted a great. That's what I feel.
so Chetan, here's a question. So you leading this function, and uh, there must be a lot of vendors, fintech companies, AI companies must be behind you. Uh, what is that really excites you, triggers you to talk to them, and what is not? Both.
Unfortunately, in the last 1 year, I've stopped talking to anyone.
My
Okay,
God,
because
a big
because of
state.
because of a simple reason. I think in India, frankly speaking, we are just copying things, right? There's nothing new that is coming out, right? So whatever I have spoken to one vendor, the other vendor tells me the same thing, right?
Okay.
I have not seen any major product innovation which comes out, right? Which will help me to say that, boss, ये product if I use, it is going to completely change the way I function. Most of the vendors today are implementers for me, right? They would come
Hmm.
in and they would tell me that I can support you in doing this implementation, right?
Understand.
So,
Hmm.
so, so that's not what I'm looking for, honestly, right? Because that is what can be done in-house by my team, right?
Hmm.
Looking for is basically a productization of a particular problem statement that can help me to solve it at a fly. I want to buy that product with minimum customization, input it into my workflow. So
Correct.
that function that I'm doing today needs to be taken away. I have not
Mm.
that kind of prioritization in anywhere, honestly speaking, right? Whether even if I look at TCS, even if look at Infosys, it's more of an implementation perspective that they come to me and not from telling me that I have this product. A lot of fintechs honestly have shown me a couple of products
Mm-hmm.
which I was interested in, but
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately they've not been able to deliver. Right?
Where,
Uh,
where, where did they fail?
Again,
POC? POC
expectation,
only.
right? They would tell me I'll change the world, and
Uh-huh.
when we do a POC, that world is probably 1% of what they have told me to do. Right? So
My God.
that's really what it is, right? I mean, one of the areas that I was looking at was more on the AML function, right?
Mm-hmm.
AML, TML, right? Trade-based money laundering, which frankly is a problem area for the complete industry. And I'm very
Yes.
surprised that none of the fintechs have been able to solve for it. Right? I mean, there are two or three fintechs who have implemented or deployed it in various other areas or functions or firms, but not scalable, not up to the mark, not delivered what was promised. So unless until you come to me with a product, I'm not looking at it because I'm not looking for implementation partners. Let's be very honest.
So only product that is really exciting you right now.
Yeah.
So let me ask this very personal question to you. If you were to build a fintech company today, what banking problem would you choose to solve and why?
Okay. Then if I step into a fintech founder shoes, I'll tell you honestly, I'll try to solve a problem which is voluminous, right? If I look at
Mhm.
from an Indian context perspective, okay.
Perfect. Perfect.
Because if I have to deploy something at the end of the day, I'm bringing in to make some money, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I'm honestly telling you the TBML function, though it is very important, it will not make me money, okay? Because the volume is not there. So for me, the fintech area that I would look at is what I said, right? Is to enhance the client experience on the call center side, right? Because across industry, I think there is a big difference in how the problems are getting solved. And
Okay.
because it is person dependent. Because if you talk to someone from a city call center versus a PSB or a PSU call center, the kind of feedback, the kind of knowledge, the kind
Ex-
of understanding, the kind of
experience.
empathy that you get is very different, right?
Yes. True.
And
True.
that what is the reason? The reason because it is person dependent, right?
Yes.
So as
Yes.
I said, right, I'm going to take away that person dependency thing, try and bring in a platform which can evolve and solve this kind of area and make it more standardized, right? At least for 60 to 70% of the problems, which are, I think, very common in nature, right? That what is my balance? Why did my statement not come? Why did I get this charges? So those are very common in nature. And I'm sure
Yes.
with the right level of
Everybody.
understanding and right level of empathy, you can do it. So I think that's the area that I would look at.
Okay. So before we get into our fireside questionnaire, I just would like to ask you uh, any message that you would like to give to today's audience because majority of them are fintech founders, AI founder companies.
Okay.
Anything that you would like to tell them
You should have
that
told me
this
first, and probably I would have gone a little slow on fintech. Uh, no, but I think that is really what it is, right? I think most of the fintech founders know what they are doing, right? I mean, they
Mm,
are far
mm,
brilliant and far risk-taking. They have far, I would say, risk-taking ability than what I have, right? But I think yes, one problem areas is what you need to solve for. Try and prioritize that. I think the world is going to the banks to support them in implementation. No one is
yes.
going to them to solve a problem and take away that problem. I think that
Mm,
that is what you guys need to look at, right? I mean, take away the problem, right? Solve the problem end to end. Just take it away. Don't today. I'll tell you honestly. If I'm doing from a processing doing step 1 to 10, and if I have a problem in step 5 and 6, and if someone comes to me and says I'm going to take away a problem in 5 and 6 with this particular product, more
mm,
than happy to implement it, right? Because that gives me a tremendous release in bandwidth, tremendous release in improvement in that, tremendous release in client experience. right? So I think that's one suggestion that I would have. And my second suggestion is be very realistic and true in your expectation setting. Uh,
Hmm.
don't go for pure sales,
Hmm.
right? Or marketing, whatever it is, right? Be true, be genuine, be whatever. I mean, be realistic, right? That that yes, you have 100 FT, but I'll solve for 5 or 10 because it's going to save time for you and me both to
Hmm.
understand as to what the expectation are, what the reality is, and whether we want to move forward or not, right? I mean, I've personally have gone forward with some, unfortunately, in the beginning with some assumptions. That project
Hmm.
was supposed to close out in 3 months. It took 2 years to close out with a loss on my brand value and a loss to the founder on his money, right?
Hmm.
So, but that's really what it is.
Understand. Okay. So let's move on to the fire side now. So one banking buzzword you wish you would disappear forever.
At turnaround time.
I was expecting this. Complete the sentence. Every fintech founder thinks.
You can solve the world.
What's the first thing you notice in a vendor presentation?
The number of slides.
Okay. What's the quickest way for a salesperson to lose your attention?
Exactly, number of slides. If it is three, if it was more than 3 or 4, I know it's all over the place.
Oh, is it that? My God, you have made it so simple. Which is harder, convincing a business team, convincing technology, or convincing compliance?
Compliance for sure.
If AI could take over one part of your daily work tomorrow, what would it be?
Oh, sending reminders.
Reminders. Wow. What's one question you wish every technology vendor asked, but almost nobody does that?
Ah, it's a good one. Oh wow. Generally speaking, it would be in terms of what you want to solve for.
Okay. So he should start with discovery.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What's one claim about AI that instantly makes you skeptical?
Sorry, repeat that.
What's one claim about AI that instantly makes you skeptical?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time that that you we will be able to release 60%, 70% of the bandwidth. That's it.
Acha. Now complete the sentence. The future of banking belongs to
Technology.
technology. Okay. And one word that best describes the next decade of banking and automation.
Right? Uh, I think tech. I'm tech-driven banking. That's it.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Piyush.
Such an amazing and energetic conversation, I must say. And I just loved one line from the entire conversation that the employee should go at home by 9. That
Because
was amazing.
because
I
if
loved that the
because
loved
if,
that mission that you work on.
because if they go, I'll be able to go. No, but
True, true.
that's my goal. Honestly, that's my goal. Very important to have work-life balance. There's no doubt about that.
Loved it, loved it. So I'll open this forum now, question and answer. So before I, open the forum, there's a disclaimer. Please don't quote any company names here. Whatever question you have, please ask it in a general format. Okay? Yes. So I think Anshul has one question. Anshul,
I have two questions if the time allows.
Sure.
please. Yeah.
Okay. Sir, the first question is I listened to your conversation very keenly and thank you for sharing the information. In the past 2, 3 years, I have seen that lots of companies are using AI bots in the enterprise sector also. It has been a trend since at least 2, 3 years or so. What do you think as a percentage of they were really able to give to the AI system rather than people doing the same work? Because the intent was that AI would be able to handle these things. Do you think that it really happened?
So let me reframe because I'm not sure I understood the question. What you're saying is a lot of people, a lot of companies have started using AI bot, and whether the AI bot has been able to take over X percentage of work as compared to the people, which was really envisaged. Is that the question?
Correct, correct, sir.
Okay. So I would say yes, the bots have been used, and it depends on where you have implemented the bot. In some areas where, let's say, I'll give you a simple example where you have to do a simple recon, which is basically matching two Excels or matching one statement from another statement. The bot is able to do that beautifully and to the extent of 100%. So we have seen where we have been able to redeploy those resources. When I say we, I'm talking in general as an industry, redeploy the industries from those kind of functions to other functions. So simple tasks, the RPAs and the bots are now able to do it 100%. Okay, but as soon as you go to one level up, which is basically understanding or reading or taking decisions based on that understanding, I think we are not there. I think none of the players in the industry are at that level to be comfortable to use AI bots to do those kind of analysis. So again, the point is that the output may come from AI, but there is always a human in loop to understand as to what is that output, why is that output, and take decisions based on that. I think that's really where we are. I hope Anshul, I answered your question.
Yes, sir. So my second question, if the time allows, revolves around the same issue. It's basically a scar tissue question, I would rather say, because in our systems we use lots of CBS core banking system, which LMS or LOS, which are heavy softwares. Okay.
Yeah,
Now, most of the times I have seen that these bots are doing a workaround kind of thing, which the core system was not able to do actually.
correct.
So, when your center of excellence reviews a bot for generative AI migrations, do you ever conclude that real fix belongs in the core system rather than the automation layer?
Completely agree. So in fact, my going in proposition has always been if the system is able to do it, you need to change the system. Only when the system is not able to do it, you should talk about bots and AI, right? Because at the end of the day, bot and AI for me is equivalent to a person doing the job. So I don't want to keep on adding bots. If a system is able to do it, I always push for system enhancements and system changes, and only if that is not doable is when I go to bots and stuff like that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Zubin, you have questions?
Yes, thank you very much. So, Mr. Shah, you mentioned that you would have loved product companies to come to you with products that could actually work. My question to you is, if you were to find such a product, the 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 time that it takes for a product to be integrated or to be approved to be integrated into a bank is months, right? Between getting your buy-in, but then getting compliance buy-in, or getting the business buy-in, and then getting infosec review done. And in automation, I imagine time is of the essence. How if we are partnering with organizations, or we're selling to organizations, how can we work with them to move things along more effectively or more efficiently?
So unfortunately, that's the name of the game at this point of time, right? But I'll tell you honestly, if your product is good and it is so good, right? That see what happens is that when it takes time that we know that yes, the product is good, we want it, but at the same time, the cost benefit is almost there, but is not going to make a marked difference to my world, right?
Hmm.
So that is when it takes time. But I have seen products and I have seen vendors if when they come out with some product which is a must-have for me, I want to make sure that I want to be the first in that game. I want to be sort of have the first mover advantage. If that happens and that your product is so good, I'll tell you, things can get done in 15 days.
Hmm.
So,
Wow.
so that's really what it is. It is really at a point in time as to how good or bad I wouldn't say bad, sorry, how good that product is, what is the need of their hour for that particular firm or industry, and whether that product is going to give that firm a first mover advantage and probably increase the revenue or whatever it is, right? I mean, make the frontline news, so as to speak, right?
Hmm.
Then you'll get it done in 15 days. Let me be very honest. The reason it takes time is obviously we have to go through the process. I'm not debating that. But the reason it takes time is then it goes into the sequence of the order of how it came, right? Because
Okay.
it is not going to make the frontline page.
How would you, so if I were to come to you and sell to you, um, you would be the champion if this is something that you so value and you would be the champion. So my question to you is, um, uh, how would you, as a champion, I imagine you would be the one who takes me by the hand through the different processes to
Absolutely.
get the approvals.
Absolutely.
Uh, how should we expect a champion to act if it's going to be efficient? How would you be able to do it in 15 days?
No, so as I said, right, it's going to be pick up the phone, talk to the right people, and get it. See, for all processes, there are always deviations in play, right? That is how the whole world and the whole industry functions. So that's
Yes.
really what it is.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. Shah.
Thanks, Ruben.
Rojit,
Hi, Chetanji.
Hi.
So thanks for this insightful inputs and a candid presentation, which we generally don't get. Uh, this forum is very helpful for that. Thanks for contributing to it. So I very much am getting I'm resonating on the point that you have said. The next level of change will come through a Gen AI. Is one of them is on through better OCR. Yes, that is one of the things today. The OCR that we talk about comes with a lot of disclaimers, with which does a 30 to 40%, and if it goes up to 60 to 70%, at least it can be taken. But as a founder of Cream AI, we are solving for this problem where we are seeing that it has to be more than 95%, which has to be there, and specifically for Indian conditions. And our benchmark has been that if our AI can read a document which is written by a doctor, mostly a doctor prescription is a benchmark, and we have been able to achieve that, and that's why and the technology that is coming into is not OCR, it is an agentic document extraction which comes with a pipeline built in, so that you read, extract, then you do the reasoning on it, which is using an LLM. You do some constitutional grounding, giving some reference to the similar documents that are there, to come to a point where it gives us a much higher accuracy, which is there. So yes, so this one, my question to you today is like, if I have to talk to a bank where in which segment has a more pain in terms of document processing, so which process or workflow do you think is ideal candidate where the OCR should be put to the ultimate test?
Yeah. So I'll say very honestly, right? As a founder, you need to make money, right? So from that perspective, I would say you have to start somewhere on the retail side in terms of
Okay.
the check processing, in terms of statement processing and stuff like that. The complex problem area that we are looking for various people to solve is on the trade side, where it is very document intensive because there is consistency check that is required to be done across 3 or 4 documents. There is bank guarantee, there is letter of credit. So all those things are there, and that's where I think the problem area is. That is where the time the user takes, or the person takes much more time to do it. But that, according to me, from a viability and I'm talking, when I say talk about viability, I'm talking more in terms of the profit and loss equation kind of a thing. I don't know whether the technology is capable enough and cost friendly enough to give you that benefit from an ROI perspective, right?
Okay.
We have looked at various vendors. Some are good, some are able to do it, but then cost sort of comes in the way.
Okay. So it is more on the retail team which needs to be
Yeah,
talked to, who are handling the trade and
correct.
involving check and statement processing and
Yeah.
also. Okay. Okay.
Utkarsh,
Uh, Thank you.
Hey, hi, good morning, sir. So this is Utkarsh. I am a co-founder of one of the startups which looks after enhanced due diligence. Right now, there are a lot of fraud activities happening in India. You take example of any UPI money movements
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
digital arrests or anything. Now the banks now there are multiple sources of alerts: I4C, 1930, Mule Hunter, etc. uh, as you know, the banks have to do an investigation on them, do a due diligence on them, and it is a very physical process. We have observed with the discussions with multiple banks, it takes around 6 weeks, 8 weeks to complete that process. And till that time, a lot of money is moved out of the ecosystem, and only about 2% of the money is caught, as in returned back to the user. There is no as a solution to that because it takes a lot of time. You have to analyze the bank statements, you have to analyze the customer, you have to analyze all layer one, layer two, layer three, all of them. So that is a solution that we are building on, where we want that the branches do not do the investigation. It's a more centralized process where we are the makers. We use an on-prem solution. We build an on-prem solution for them, for the banks, wherein we are the makers. A few checker processes can be done because anyways, LLM needs to have human in the loop, and RBI has given out 150-page circulars around model evaluation, etc. So that is our as in product. We say that we have eye on the risk, and the name is similar. Uh, Now my question is that this being a compliance product, right? It's not a business creation product. It's more of a compliance product. And we have been talking to multiple chief risk officers, but the question comes when, and there have been cases where RFP has been raised based on our product, because that is a standard process the bank follows. And now we have been seeing a challenge to close the deal, final deal. And then we are there, but we are not there.
Mm.
There could be multiple reasons. One is the business doesn't think that it is the priority, because it's a compliance product, not a business creation product. Though we claim that we reduced that from those 6 to 8 weeks to 10-15 minutes because it's completely digital. Uh, in that scenario, my question is, how do we get through that line? As in, recently we had a case where, uh, as in, with the physical process, we are also, as in, we claim that we also reduce the costs, but that cost comes out to be 50% of what they are actually, incurring right now. And somehow it always comes that the cost is too high. And again, we are not using ChatGPT or Claude. We are not using as an internet calls. We are deploying our own AI models, fine-tuned models, SLM models on-prem. And we do not, as in we have also made it so simple that we do not use GPUs. It would run on CPUs itself. So there are two costs to the bank. One is the hardware cost, and then second is our cost. So how do we cross that line?
Unfortunately, I mean, you have given me your problem statement. Unfortunately, I don't know how I will be able to solve it, because see, each of the firm will have their own way to look at it, right?
Yes.
So, and I don't know as to why a particular firm or a bank or whatever you name it has not been able to move forward, right? I mean, as I said, right? I mean, I always have seen that if the product, if it's a must-have for them, they'll move the world and get it done,
Yeah.
right? So my point over here is, as far as I understand, if it's a compliance issue, I'm sure compliance also would have a budget. It is not that they have to go to business to get this done, right?
Mhm.
So I really, honestly, I don't have an answer to your problem or why you are stuck. I think you just need to pick up the phone, talk to them directly, and get a honest answer, right, as to what is the real issue, right? I mean, because sometimes what happens is sometimes it's a dilly dallying tactic, right? That देखते हैं करना है तो करते हैं, but I mean, just pick up the phone and talk. I mean, that's all that I can say, because unfortunately, I'm not in your shoes or in the other side shoes to say as to why it is stuck, right? Uh, but I mean, if you look at it from my experience, I would say it's just a dilly dallying tactic, right? That they are not sure that they want it or not want it, and so they are not no also, they're not yes also. So they're just trying to see to sort of play it around and see that
Okay.
something better comes up, or maybe this is it.
On a lighter note, how do I pick up the phone and call you for a guidance or your connections?
You can always do that, not a problem.
I'll connect you with
I
LinkedIn.
think the question is where to find the phone number.
It's
No,
all
I'll
over.
connect.
It's all over the place. We'll do that. We'll do that. Not a problem.
Okay. I think the questions are over. So, Chetan, thank you very much once again for
Thank you
honoring
so much, Piyush.
this
Thanks for your time.
conversation. I
Appreciate
love
it.
the conversation,
Thank you so much.
especially your goal.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone, for joining. Thank you so much.